Don't you hate it when you put a $500,000 deposit down on a house, only for the real owner to walk in and tell you that he knows absolutely nothing about the sale?
What?
Well, that's what happens in this ridiculous film, inspired by actual events. This is $1 Million Lethal Listing. I'm Jay Harangue and I've wasted hours of my life watching terrible films.
You should subscribe.
Right, a few things before we start. First, when movies say stuff like inspired by actual events, it doesn't mean it's a true story. The actual event that inspired this is probably somebody buying a house.
Yep.
Secondly, I assume something went wrong during the filming of this, because all the voice lines seem to have been recorded at a later date. And finally, only 21% of my viewers are subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already, please do so. I don't know if that works, but I assume it does because everyone else does it.
True.
Okay, let's go. This is Becca and she's the main character.
Hi.
She and her fiancé Tom, who's older than the sun, are looking for a new house. Tom's a lawyer, and like in every other film, that means he's obsessed with making partner.
Obviously.
Becca has a job too. They don't say what it is, but as this is a Lifetime movie, let's assume it's something to do with interior design.
Yes.
Annie is Becca's best friend and colleague, and she's a bit concerned about the age difference between Becca and Tom.
Well, I'm marrying him, so...
Yeah, but you're not happy.
I'm happy.
Sounds convincing. Ooh, what's this? A new house has come on the market. So Becca leaves work early to look at it. The house is perfect and Becca's like, what's the catch? Samantha, the realtor's like, nothing. The owner just needs cash quickly.
Right.
Becca's inherited $500,000 from her dead parents, and their lawyer, who holds all the money, tells Becca she should protect herself from Tom with a prenuptial agreement. Becca's like, no thanks, but I'm going to be needing $500,000 for a down payment on a house. Later, Becca tells Tom she wants to buy the house. He's like, but I haven't seen it. And she's like, well, that doesn't matter.
Because it's your money, right?
Well, it is her money.
You love to remind me of that, don't you?
Yes.
For some reason, despite it being all Becca's money, they still act like Tom has a say in the matter. And he kindly agrees to let Becca buy the house that he's going to live in for free.
Great. So I can have my own office.
Yes, for free. Oh, and here's the owner, Riley.
Come on, folks, let's put this deal to bed.
Yeah, let's. Tom's a lawyer, remember? So he'll be going through all the paperwork.
Where do we sign?
So the deal is they transfer Riley $500,000 now and have 12 months to come up with the rest of the money.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, not you, Tom, the person who actually paid for it.
You love to remind me of that, don't you?
So they move in the next day and this unpacking montage goes on and on and on. And then they bang. That night when they're asleep, someone's in the house and oh no, they're coming up the stairs.
Who are you? I own this house.
That's right, the guy who they transferred $500,000 to didn't even own the house. They call the useless Lifetime police department and Detective Ross comes over. She tells them the owner has kindly agreed to stay in a hotel until all this has been resolved.
Good? What are you talking about? This is our house.
Wrong again, Tom. Even if you hadn't been scammed, it would have been Becca's house, not yours.
Correctamundo.
Anyway, obviously there's nothing the police can do now.
Obviously.
So they're told to come by the precinct later.
What do we do now?
Tom's like, don't worry, I'll take care of this. But then he goes off to work like nothing's happened.
Odd. Very odd.
When he gets home that day, he's like, right, I've been to see Detective Ross, and she's not going to do anything, so I'll be dealing with this from now on. Later, Becca goes to the stock footage cafe to meet Annie. She tells her what's happened, and Annie's like, what? How did this happen? Tom's supposed to be a lawyer. Go and talk to Detective Ross yourself. Tom's clearly useless. So Becca goes to see Detective Ross.
I didn't speak to your fiancé here today.
Oh dear. Sounds like Tom's been lying.
Uh-oh.
So she goes home and confronts him. He's like, look, Becca, I'm never going to be made partner if people find out that I signed those papers. It's going to make me look like a right knob.
It is.
Plus, once I make partner, I'll be able to earn all that money back within a year. Becca's like, Tom, it's $500,000 of my money. And he's like, oh, your money, is it?
Yes. What happens when I start bringing in the bucks? That'll be my money then? Yes.
The next day at work, Annie is wearing a rubbish hat. Becca's like, come on, Annie, I can see you've got something to say. And she's like, ugh, Becca, you have to tell the police to go after these people. And Becca's like, no, Tom doesn't want me to, but I am planning on doing my own investigation.
Good.
Becca starts her investigation by going to the realtor's office, where she finds out that Samantha, the woman who showed her the house, was a former employee who got sacked. And her real name is Mia Horner. And Becca gets Mia's home address. When she gets home, she tells Tom, and he's like, Becca, what are you doing? I told you to leave this alone. And she's like, leave it alone. I just lost $500,000.
You're never gonna let me forget that, are you? Always gonna hold that over my head.
It only happened 2 days ago. Anyway, Becca doesn't leave it alone, and the next day goes round to Mia's house. She starts going through her drawers. Why? No idea. Perhaps she expects to find $500,000 in cash in one of them. And oh no, Mia's come home.
Please don't hurt me. You need to leave. Now.
What? You stole $500,000 from her? I doubt she's just gonna walk off.
That's absurd.
Becca has a pretty important question for Mia.
Why?
For $500,000.
Good point.
Yeah, I probably could have guessed that was the answer.
Yes, of course.
I could go to the police, you know.
Mia looks shocked that Becca would even consider this option, as that would mean she'd get in trouble.
You need to just let this go.
What?
Why on earth would she let this go? This is absolutely ridiculous. Mia won't give Becca any more information, so it's back to see Detective Ross, who tells her the ULPD will handle things from now on.
Yeah, right.
That night, Becca tells Tom that she's been to the police again, and Tom is angry again. He tells her that if this gets out, it'll jeopardize his chance to make partner. Again. She's like, whatever, Tom, I want my money back, so I told the police to start the investigation, and Tom is livid. I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here, but for anyone who hasn't worked it out by now, Tom is in on the scam.
What?
And we see him send a text message to someone that night saying, we have a problem. The next morning, Mia is found dead.
There's no question she was strangled.
I mean, her dead body with her hand around her neck was a bit of an indicator. Anyway, they find Becca's fingerprints all over Mia's back door, so Detective Ross takes her down to the station. Becca's like, okay, look, I did break into her house yesterday, but I didn't kill her. Then Tom walks in and he's like, don't say another word, Becca, we're leaving. So now the police suspect Tom might have something to do with it. Back at home, Tom drugs Becca's wine so he can go out and meet Riley, who it turns out was a client of Tom's who he got off a murder charge. So Riley did all this as a favour for Tom, posing as the homeowner and killing Mia. But Tom can't have any loose ends, so he strangles him to death.
Consider this one pro bono.
Yeah! What a knob. Anyway, by the time Becca wakes up, Tom is already home and he's like, we need to talk.
Are you saying you want to break up or you want to call off the engagement?
All things considered, yeah, I think it's for the best.
She's like, what? Why? And he's like, look, I'm trying to make partner at a law firm. It's not going to look great if I'm shagging a murder suspect, is it?
So you're breaking up with me so that you can make partner?
Yes.
She's like, fine, I never want to see you ever again. So she goes over to see her dead parents' lawyer. She's like, Becca, have you ever considered the fact that Tom might be in on this? And she's like, oh my God, no, I hadn't. But now that you mention it, that would make sense.
You think?
Becca is now living with her friend Annie, and that night asks her if she thinks it's possible that Tom was involved in the scam. She's like, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Now let's drink more wine. The next morning, after finding Annie's stun gun in a drawer, I wonder if that's going to be important later, Becca goes to speak to Annie.
And I couldn't stop thinking about what we were talking about.
What, about Tom being involved?
Yes, that was probably the main takeaway from last night's conversation. Anyway, today's plan is to go into Tom's office, and this has to be my favourite scene.
I'm going to see Tom Hudson.
Do you have an appointment?
Is there something wrong?
I've been here about a week and I've seen Mr. Hudson with his wife and I didn't know if that was you or not.
What? Who would say that? Anyway, Becca shows him a photo of Mia and she's like, is this her? He's like, I don't know, but I've seen them together. Becca decides to come back later when the office is closed and she can easily get in because the code for the alarm is on a massive pink post-it note on his desk. Just in case there's any doubt, the word code is written above it. When she gets home and tells Annie what she's just found out, Annie's like, do you think Tom killed Mia?
I don't know.
So that night, they're going back to Tom's office together to find more information. Oh no, sorry, it's not that night. It's still daytime. And oh good, Becca's found a file on Riley. But oh no, the janitors are coming. Luckily, one of them can't be bothered to finish cleaning and convinces the other to leave early. So Becca and Annie manage to escape. Now they know that Riley was Tom's client. Annie's like, that's enough evidence now, let's go to the police. But Becca's like, I think we should go to Riley's house first.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, probably. So they break into Riley's house without gloves, and there are signs of a struggle, even though this isn't where he was killed. Becca then starts trying to guess the password for his laptop.
Hey, try that door. Okay.
Oh, here he is. So now it's time to go back to the police. Detective Ross is like, Becca, this isn't great, is it? Now we can place you at the scene of 2 murders. Luckily, I know it wasn't you.
Mr. King's hyoid bone was crushed. Do you know how hard it is to do that to someone?
No.
Unless you're secretly a power lifter, I would say you are in the clear.
Tom?
Yeah, we think so.
What? Did I miss the part in the film where they explained that Tom was a powerlifter?
Where is Tom?
We don't know. We can't reach him.
Did you try his cell?
No, the police operate a strict landline-only policy. Of course they tried his cell. When Becca and Annie get home, they get on the wine again. Then the doorbell rings and it's Detective Ross. She's like, good news, we found your money. It was in Riley's account.
So that's why Tom killed him.
Well, that doesn't make much sense, does it? Because how was he ever going to get the money from a dead person? I can't imagine he was the beneficiary of his will. Anyway, Detective Ross is like, take this to the bank and they'll put all the money back in your account. She's like, what if Tom shows up and tries to claim it? Detective Ross is like, well, he'll be charged with fraud and murder. So Becca takes her dead parents' lawyer with her to the bank just to make sure there's no funny business. Hang on, who's this? Obviously it's Tom. He must be assuming she's going to walk out with it all in cash so he can mug her in his black hoodie in broad daylight. But no, the money will be sat safely in the account for 24 hours. After a quick glass of wine at the stock footage sports bar, Annie and Becca go home. The doorbell rings, but there's nobody there. When Annie goes to answer it,
Annie, what's going on?
Hey, Bex.
Tom's like, right, transfer me the money now. And Becca's like, Tom, why are you doing this? And it turns out, in order to be a partner at the firm, Tom had to invest $500,000.
Why didn't you just ask me for the money?
You never would have given me that money. You know it.
Why would she have given him the money? Anyway, Tom's like, give me the account details now or she dies. And Becca's like, okay, I'll just get a pen and paper from this drawer. So Tom is arrested. At an unspecified time later, Becca's dead parents' lawyer's like, let's go after Tom's assets. And Becca's like, no. And that's the end of the film. So until next time. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. And please consider joining my Patreon. There's a link in the description. Thank you.